Please wait while we load your writer-in-residence interface. Welcome to our Minifest.
Natasha Deen, world famous author, Retribution series author, and you have an upcoming first chapter books. And yes. So, but I think right now I'm going to play the clip for Retribution, so everyone knows that we're connected through that series. Oh, and by the way, I hear you're writing a sequel to Burn.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am, and that's going to come out next year.
I need to know more about this because it means I'm going to be writing a sequel to go along with it. So the way it works, if any of you are interested, we each get to write our own stories, and then we trade stories, and we find scenes where our characters share some part of the narrative, and we write those scenes from each other's point of view.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, and it's lots of fun.
It is. And Natasha, you're here because I'm introducing you to my writer-in-residence students and teachers, and I know that you have volunteered to go into a few of the classrooms in a conference just like we're having right now, where you get to speak to the students. So I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's loads of fun. I love doing it.
Yeah, it is fun for me too. So teachers, all you need to do is email me if you want to have Natasha hang out with your students. And that noise in the background, did you hear it?
I did. I know what that sound is.
That was my ringtone from that I used from the Sherlock series, the BBC series.
Who introduced you to Sherlock? Who told you that was a really good story?
Her name is Natasha Deen. She's one of Canada's best writers. Yeah.
Oh, flattery. Thank you.
So, Natasha, I know you're working on that, but our excuse me, our author interview today is about editing. Tell me how you approach your editing process.
Weeping?
Now, I don't think, you know what I can say for me, editing's my favorite part of the process.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Well, now here's a question. Are we talking about self-editing, or are we talking about when someone else comes and reads our work and then offers suggestions? Because to me, those are two different things.
That's a good point. I enjoy both of those processes because to me, the tough part is getting the story down on paper. And once it's on paper, now I get to take a story that, in theory I like, because I just invested 6 months in it. I get to take a story and find ways to make it as good as possible. And then when someone else helps me edit, I look at it not as criticism, but as a way for someone to help me make my story better.
Oh, that's really interesting. So for me, when I'm writing, my story is way off here. And then as I keep writing the story, it gets closer and closer and closer. So by the time I'm done my story, I am smooshed up against it. So for me, when
is smooshed even a verb?
Do you know what? As writers, we get to make up words. So I'm smooshed up against it. So when it's self-editing, I'm never quite sure if I'm too close to the story to see it properly. So I love it when other people read it because they have more objective and they're coming from a different perspective. And so yes, just like you, I love it when other people offer suggestions because my editors always make my stories better. My readers always make my stories better.
Yeah.
It's just me wondering if I'm just too close to the story to see where the soft spots are.
I can understand that. How many edits do you think you do before one of your novels gets published?
At least 10.
I know.
And that's 10 edits per page, or 10 times. So I write the story from page 1 to page the end.
Yes.
And then I go back and I edit. And then I go back and I do that. I edit 10 times. I reread it at least 10 times. And then I send it off to my editor. And then usually there's 2 to 3 rounds of edits there. So
I know. So yeah, for me too, like with Unleashed, since we're talking about retribution,
yes,
I've probably gone through that 10 times before I sent it.
Yes.
And then when it came back with editorial suggestions and revisions, I had to track my changes.
Yes.
Because the editors on the other end like seeing that. And first time through, I made probably 2,000 changes. Lots of them were little changes. And then on my next edit, so after 10 times editing with myself, it is 2 or 3 edits with the editor at the publishing house. And I saw my changes go from 2,000 to 800 down to finally 100. And then, and I think it's important our students know this, then we turn it over to a copy editor who looks for spelling mistakes and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, and I can say this because I've already told you that I can find editing fairly frustrating an experience when it's just me. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's so worth it because, every time you write out a sentence and someone reads it, you're putting a thought into their head. So even though
so you're saying you get to take control over their brain, their thoughts.
I love power. I love it because if I say to you, I was in the woods and I saw this kid and she was wearing a red cloak, you can't help but imagine that in your head. So, the more time, even though it's frustrating, we spend making sure our edits are good and that story is as clear as it can be, the better the experience and the stronger our hold is on somebody else's brain. And really, isn't that what writing is about, is taking over people's brains?
And but yes, the writing takes over their brain and story takes over their heart. Will you go with me on that? But now, so if I'm a student watching this, I'd be sitting there just shaking my head going, I'm not going to edit everything I do 12 times. So let's agree, you and I are pretty motivated because we know first of all, we want our story out there. And second of all, we know it's going to be in a book.
Yes.
And I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'll say it anyway. I'm just wondering, teachers, if there's a way that you could have students choose their favorite out of the last 5 pieces of writing to edit.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Well, I'm glad you agree because if it's our favorite, then we like it well enough to spend editing. And I'm going to guess that we will learn more editing one story as well as possible instead of kind of doing a half-hearted job on everything we write. So teachers, there's a way to allow students to sometimes write and not have to edit. Who knows, maybe that'll make us better editors in the end. Do you want to weigh in on that, or just want to say, Sigmund, you're a genius, you're right?
Sigmund, you're a genius and you're right.
I like that, and I think I can edit and video loop it so that you say that 5 more times.
Sigmund, you're a genius and you're right. Sigmund, you're a genius and you're right. Sigmund, you're a genius and you're right.
Natasha, it's been great to hang out with you, and
teachers, and your students and the teachers. Thank you so much for letting me time there.
And please bring Natasha into your classroom with video conference, just like this one. See you, Natasha.
See you. Bye-bye.